The BMW UFO. So, last I left off, I did started to paint the kit, and I went ahead with a basically a rattle can silver just to paint the fan blades. That's pretty much going to be the color I want for the fan blades. It's going to be a little shiny, but once I get some shading on there, it'll tone it down. But two things I need to mention. Number one, you can see where my styrene fans are different from the actual kit fans, which is no big deal. Once I get to the shading part, they'll blend in real nicely. But I did get both sides painted, and I want everyone to notice on resin kits the little tiny air bubbles. I actually put a couple coats of primer on, let that sit, and I mean heavy coats, and it still really didn't want to fill it. And I went ahead with the enamel out of the rattle can and sprayed it real heavy. Basically, haven't really got to touch it in a couple days because it just had to just sit and cure. I may do one more today just to see if it'll fill it up a little bit more, but if not, the little tiny air bubbles just have to be in there. I mean, it would actually turn into an extremely large putty job if you did it the correct way. But anyway, I'm going to probably saturate it with a little more paint, and then we'll be ready to paint the model, which is, we're going to paint it basically this color right here. I call it the molted or modded Luftwaffe camouflage, so we're going to do something like that. So that'll look pretty darn slick. But anyway, we're into the painting stage, and I got to do a little tulip work on some little areas, and hopefully paint will hide, because that's this kit is rough, and but anyway, we'll make it look good once we get some German paint on it. The demolition Sherman. One thing I did, I got it pretty much. It took me a couple, 2 or 3 days to really basically get it all assembled, but I did get it assembled. Got the turret on. One thing about the turret, though, I had to. Oh, come on! Came off earlier. You know what? It's not coming off. I did my job. Anyway, I had to cut out the turret ring on the hull just to get the turret fit. And one thing about this turret, I was shocked, is if you can see the parting line, it actually made it in 2 pieces, and it's hollow. And I don't know why. I would have made this a solid piece, my personal opinion. But anyway, I really can't put any putty on here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try some tulip first to get the little seam gone, or if not, I'll probably add some styrene here just to hide it. It'll just make it look a little more, just give it like a little more detail. But anyway, so I got the comes with brass barrels. Got the machine gun on. I did have to cheat, though. You're supposed to get some resin little turrets here. I actually cut up one of the tools from the kit and added the little barrels on there. It was just easier to do it that way. And if you notice the side skirts that go on the side here, if you actually look at this kit, these actually sit up higher. And if you actually look at the vehicle itself, the side skirts should be down a little bit lower because they don't fit over the idler wheels at all. So what I did, and I had to do this because I had to cheat. The track here, track is individual track link on the top, basically around the edges, and it was really brittle and everything. So what I did is I just extended down the side skirts, not a whole lot, just enough to hide the top of the track so you can't see the track, and I didn't add the top track at all. So we got a little illusion going on that the track is on, which it is, and we actually didn't have to put the little individual track link, which I think is they really shouldn't do it in 72nd scale. I know why they do it, but they just really shouldn't. It just makes it a nicer kit, and I think a lot of people would probably build more 72nd if they didn't have to do the individual track link. But anyway, there is that. And one thing I got to show on this tank is the front. If you notice, it doesn't fit the hole. I know Shermans are really high, especially their hole. If you notice right here, It actually, this kit is supposed to be basically another Sherman, which I assume from Unimodels. It actually sits way up high, but to get it down to look right, it had to sit a little bit lower. So I got it there, got it glued down, and then I'm going to take some epoxy sculpt, and I'll just blend that in with the hole on there. But anyway, there's that. There's a couple things I left off. I left off some of the tools. I'm not a big fan of... I do love stowage on tanks, but when you get I call it the basic tools, I just think it looks cheap. You know, like you have a shovel and a axe or something. That's pretty much it that you usually see on tank models on model kits. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it like that because I think it looks pretty slick the way it is. But anyway, that's where I stand on the demolition Sherman. I didn't get to do anything on the Spitfire because I gotta go dig out a figure, and I also got to probably paint it, which I'll probably do it tomorrow, which just was not in the mood to paint. Which that's basically the story of my life this week, which it was construction week, just didn't want to paint. But anyway, we'll try to fix that tomorrow. But anyway, that's what I got going on today. We finished assembly of the demolition Sherman, and we are starting to paint the BMW UFO. So that's what I got going on today. So stay tuned for the next exciting episode.